Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to my first video for 2019. My original intent for this video was to do a bit of a recap of some of my projects from 2018 and kind of give you a bit of an update on those, and then roll that over into some projects and experiments I was planning for the upcoming year. That's kind of changed a little bit. I'm going to do some of that. But you'll notice that this particular tank is really overgrown with plants. And that's mostly because the last few weeks of last year, the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas are really busy for me. And then once Christmas gets here, it's my pretty much 1 week guaranteed off every year. And I really don't want to do any fish tank maintenance. So my fish room has been a little bit neglected. I've done my water changes and I've fed everybody and that sort of stuff. But I haven't done one key thing, and that's any pruning. So this tank, it's just exploded. There's just so many plants in there. But one thing in particular kind of caught my eye probably about the second week of December. And that is the Vallisneria in the dirt planter there really took off. Now, if you remember about 4 months ago, I had started this experiment. I had decided to plant Vallisneria in one gravel and one dirted. And I was expecting at the time that the dirt would do really quite a bit better because, well, it's getting more nutrient. Well, 2 months went by and I did an update for it. And they're pretty much neck and neck. There was no real significant difference. The dirt one may have been a bit greener and also may have been a bit more robust, but there's pretty much the same number of plants, and there wasn't really any significant reason to bother going to all the trouble of putting dirt in. Well, that's all changed now, as you can tell. Actually, you probably can't tell because this tank is so overgrown. It needs to be pruned. But I got to do that now. And then we're going to have a look at it. If you remember from another video I did, these are the polycarbonate lids I made, and I'm actually really liking them, and I think I'm probably going to continue using them, at least in the short term, just to see how they wear and tear. I find they're light. I find you don't have to worry about banging them into the tank. They are a bit more fragile because they have, it's some very thin polycarbonate. So I have cracked one or two of them, but it's easy to re-weld them, so it's not such a big deal. Now you notice the top row there was a tank in the upper left. That's where I keep my microworms. I've moved that off. This so I actually mostly can see this better. But also I'm planning on ordering a bunch of glass for those tanks. A bunch of glass for tanks for that row. And that's going to happen next week. And then I'm going to build those tanks and then I'm going to set them up. Now I had always planned on putting tanks in that row ever since I built the stand. But one thing has changed since I had originally done all those plans. I originally intended on putting box filters and sponge filters and doing a little bit of experimentation around those sorts of things. But one other thing has kind of exploded since, mid-December. And that is I've acquired a large number of additional subscribers. And thank you very much, by the way, and I hope I can live up to your expectations and at least be entertaining. But one thing that has happened with that accumulation of extra people, and that is one particular video has become more popular than a lot of the other ones, definitely more so than it used to be. And that is the variation I did on under gravel filtration. So that row on the top is now going to be filled, or filtered I should say, with under gravel filters. And my intent there is not just to make a whole pile of the same one, but to show you different ways that you can do it, and to, again, do a kind of an experiment to show if there's any kind of difference between one and the other. It's probably important to mention at this point that the intent I have for these videos that I make, like the experiments I run and that sort of stuff, is really not to convince you that one thing's better than another. All I'm trying to do is just show you that there's a great many ways of doing things, and some will work better than others depending upon how you like to maintain stuff. And hopefully, a few of you might want to try some of this stuff out and see how it works for you. So enough of that rambling on. Let's get back to what I'm doing here. And that is there's an awful lot of plant material in here. But the important thing from my perspective, the thing that caught my eye, it's not the rooted Vallisneria that interested me here. I mean, that's kind of cool, but there's actually an awful lot of extra growth in the free-floating aquatic plants. And I was thinking as this was going along here, is there may be an effect of having dirted planter, even if there's no plants in it, of some of that nutrient being leached into the water, causing the floating plants to grow really well too. Now, I don't add fertilizer to any of my tanks. I don't put root tabs in or anything like that, and I don't use CO2 or any of that sort of stuff. This is all just fish poop and reasonably good water conditions, and this is what's growing out of it. But when I originally set up these two tanks for this experiment, I wasn't really thinking about the floating plants. So what I'm going to do in that top row is I'm going to set up two of the tanks with much more similar situations. One's going to have a planter in it, like a dirted planter, nothing in it, like no plants. And I'm going to put a bunch of floating plants in that one and the one beside it, try to keep the fish relatively the same. And I want to see if those planters, or that planter I should say, is going to have this kind of effect. So there you go. Some of these Vallisneria fronds, leaves, they're over 2 feet long. This is just insane how this took off in the last 3-4 weeks. It's just phenomenal. And I want to see, again, like I said, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is this is a definitive result here. It doesn't mean that this is what you would want to do, because, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, this is a jungle. You may not want a jungle in your tank. The other one's growing just fine. It's not, it's half the size, but that may be all you want. The other reason why I want to do that experiment, the one with the unplanted, dirted planter, is because this tank here, with that large pothos filter on top, I mean, the pothos and the spider plant, and there's also a bit of riccia in there, they're sucking an awful lot of nutrient out of this tank. I mean, they're doing exceptionally well. I mean, the hornwort is still growing really well. It may not be, again, like the Vallisneria, may not be as vibrant and as strong as with the other tank, but there's too much in the way of variables here. There's too many differences between these two tanks. So I want to run something a little bit more controlled. There's nothing wrong with this Vallisneria. It's nice and healthy. It's not 2.5 feet long or whatever, but all the plants are doing well, and it's sending out a lot of runners, and it's doing all the things that you may only want it to do. It's not as overgrown as the other one. So anyway, like I said, this wasn't exactly what I was planning to do for this, but I'm really trying to keep these videos down to 10 minutes. I know everyone's time is valuable, and I don't really want to ramble on for too long, even though I've done a fair amount of that in this video. I will do some updates on some other stuff as well, and I think I've covered a little bit of the stuff I want to do for upcoming videos for this coming year. I'm probably going to cross over 4K in subs before I'm going to get around to doing the 4K sub giveaway, but I am going to do that. I really do want to give back to you guys for watching my videos and stuff, so keep an eye out for that coming up. I'm also going to continue with a lot of the other projects I've mentioned in other videos. Namely, next week, it should be the diatom filter. If you remember from the UV experiments I had done, I was expecting a bit of a bounce back. If you had let your eyes wander to the right during this last few clips, you'll see that there's a bit of green in that tank now. And that is kind of expected because I turned off the UV over the holidays, and a commercial filter wouldn't kill it, so I wasn't really expecting this one to. But instead of retreating it right away and taking care of it, I've let it grow back a bit. And next week I'm going to show you how a diatom filter will take care of that. So anyway, that's stretched out this video, I think, long enough. Thanks for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And thank you to all the new subscribers. That's absolutely wonderful. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.